Sacred Wisdom podcast in Tennessee with me, Becky Parks, and Chris and Sue. Today we'll be talking a little bit about Be the Change, and then we're going to hand over to Cindy to ask us the questions that you've asked. So let's start. So we wanted to talk about Be the Change because I know that there's a big hype and excitement about starting projects and doing projects, but there's so much more to connecting consciousness. And at the grassroots level, it's all about, you know, the individual, your journey, your spiritual journey, your own life, your community, the connections that you have with your family, friends, neighbours, and the friends that you've made here in our organisation. And these friendships are so important because we've had countless stories of how they've helped people grow, change, just keep going, meeting others of like minds. And I really feel that even when really good and exciting things are happening over the next few months and years, there will also be the daily challenges, your daily life, the daily things that are going on in the world, and it's still very, very important to keep this community spirit, to keep your spiritual development, and also to support others who are going to wake up to really what's going on in the world, because there's, I mean, even recently, you know, news about UFOs and maybe alien bodies have been found, and this sort of thing is kind of filtering through on different levels. So you guys are all ahead of the curve. You know about things like this, and you understand about how important the spiritual journey is, your own connection to your spirituality, to your beliefs. And that gives you strength, an inner strength that many people don't have. They'll be sort of a bit like the cork on the wave, bobbing around, feeling ungrounded and sort of scared. But you will have much more strength and depth, and it's you guys who will be supporting others. So I think that's what we wanted to talk about. I will hand over to Chris.
Thank you, Becky, and wow, live from Tennessee. It's just awesome to be here with everyone, so thank you for having us here. And I do want to recognize Cindy and all of the volunteers who worked hard to put this event together. So, Be the Change. It's almost become a cliche, and most people who think about that quote, be the change that you want to see in the world, think about, like Becky said, either projects or going out and doing acts of service, which that is very important, and that certainly is part of being the change in the world. But I think equally important is to go within and be the change within that you want to see out in the world. And that's because we're co-creators of our own reality. I think most everyone knows that, but when we really step back to think about what does that mean, it really means if you want to see peace in the world, if you want to see love in the world, if you want to see harmony and so forth, we have to find ways to cultivate that within ourselves, and then it will reflect out into our external or physical world. So, Be the Change is all about being of service, but it's all about being of service to yourself too, and making those changes within yourself that reflect outward. And I'll also share, this might be a slight promotion here to our monthly spiritual topics, but I do think a lot of our monthly spiritual topics do help with this. So there's topics like forgiveness, which is so important. And a huge piece of that topic was forgiveness of self, which I think is much harder than forgiving other people. Non-judgment, compassion, building your intuition and discernment. And so if you have not seen our monthly spiritual topics, you can find them on the Mighty Networks under Spiritual Empowerment. And so also it's not about just like reading the topic, it's about like going deep within and figuring out what that means for you. And we're all different, and so what it means for us is different, and how we work at it is different. But if you haven't checked them out, go on to Mighty Networks. So I'll stop that promotion and hand over to Sue.
Before I hand to Sue, thank you very much, Chris. That was really beautiful. And in my excitement at introducing our podcast, I actually forgot to sort of say to the audience who are going to be watching on Zoom that I'm here for a couple of days in America, popped over for a few quiet meetings and wanted to join this wonderful meetup in Tennessee. So I just thought I'd explain why I'm actually here, and it's such a thrill and a privilege to be back here. I really love it, and I really love meeting our CC members. So I'll hand over to Sue now.
We are in such an amazing time where we've been called here now, whether you know it or not. You may think you're just ordinary, normal, have no gifts, whatever, but we are here to really help lift and elevate humanity and the earth as we move through a quantum leap. You may understand that or not, but it's that joke I made earlier about when I thought she said inmate. It's like we're coming from this place where we feel so smushed down and incapable, not having gifts, not being worthy, not having anything important to contribute, and it's so not true. We have been, each one of us has been created to be an amazing being that brings gifts and light and expansion in so many ways, and yet we don't know. We just trundle along in our life and feel kind of ordinary and just go, well, what can I do? And yet, each one of you, each one of us has a really important part to play. And we're in this period where we're becoming more and more aware of the part we have to play, and more willing to be authentic, to expose ourselves, to have the courage to be what we are, to be what we came here to be. Each one of you has something that's been niggling you, or maybe not. Maybe you're trundling along and you don't have any idea. I can tell you about my brother. Prostate cancer, had it out, it's back in his bones, he's on terminal, and what he's done, beautiful how he's handling it, he wants to have conversation with all the people that have ever been meaningful to him in his life. And so he went to one of his good friends who had a teenage son. They camped together, they fished, they probably smoked lots of dope, they probably drank lots of beer, like that's the time they would have had together. And so he just went to see them, and this guy that's now in his mid-20s expressed to my brother how impactful my brother's positive attitude was to this guy, to this kid. And this kid now is out in Colorado, I can't remember what the job is, but touching the lives of other young people. And my brother was blown away to hear the impact that he had, and then how it has exponentially extended beyond him. And that is true for every one of us. Like if you ever have the amazing opportunity for somebody to come tell you the impact that you've had, like value that and trust it. We tend to go, oh no, not me, or it's like, no, say thank you for telling me that. And we're at this time where it's always a slippery slope. There's so much fear porn, there's so much negativity, so much pain, so much fear, and it's like you can start down that pathway one step, and you're on the slippery slope, okay? Or you can take the other pathway and start seeing beyond that, and it's also a slippery slope, but it goes a different way. As we, for ourselves, as Chris said, watch our vibration, watch where we find ourselves in our own mind, that impacts so much more. You think it doesn't communicate, you think that the people in the store can't tell the difference between when, you know, like, oh, that person looked me in the eye and smiled. It's a whole different thing than if you're like rumbling along or feeling like, you know, everybody wants to know what's my purpose, what's my path, whatever, but part of your path may be not knowing and just being a full expression, and even, like, I heard the guys talking earlier, a lot of intel, a lot of stuff that I loved hearing them talk about, you guys, because I know those things. I was too busy, but I'm like, oh yeah, I hear that over there. Even as you become more aware of the truth of what's been happening, or the underlying stuff, that awareness, and yet a memory of remembering that there's creator, a God, source, all that is, that there's goodness, that there's light, you are transmuting. You're transmuting that affects everything. And so we are so beyond staying in our little comfort zones and just doing what we've always done. It ain't gonna work that way anymore. We really have to trust, allow for more possibility, allow for miracles, allow grace in, and allow a beautiful unfolding adventure, your journey, to be all that you can be. And that's exciting, and like, oh my God, for us to have a group of people where we can come together, and we're not the only ones remembering a truth, something, and caring about the world and wanting to do something about it. Like for me, finding CC, it's like, oh my goodness, we are so lucky. So, I'm not sure that's everything I have to say, but we're going to go with the questions, and then we'll see what else pipes up.
Okay, the first question is, how do you rectify your impact on all other living things? For example, I believe all things have value and purpose and sentience. And to me, eating and walking on them, etc., is impactful, and sometimes I feel overwhelmed by guilt and responsibility. So how do you rectify that?
I will start, and I think it is a hard one, but it's part of one's experience in life to have these thoughts and to work it out for, you know, yourself. I have those thoughts, and everything is there. As Sue said, everything is there for a reason, and I do believe everything is consciousness. I believe absolutely everything is consciousness expressing itself in some form. And I mean, you can't really go around, if you're going around saying sorry, which British people do that all the time. But if you do that, it's not actually very helpful. And you try, you know, if you're walking in a field of flowers, or if there's suddenly loads of ladybugs that fly down and you don't want to tread on anything, you know, you try to do your best to step away so your impact on the area around you, and so on, your impact on the planet is you know, less bad and less detrimental. But I think you can't live your whole life like that in terms of feeling limited and, oh, I mustn't make an impact. I will tell a story actually, because this has reminded me. I have a beloved aunt who passed away just before Christmas, and we went to her funeral, and she was the epitome of environmental friendly. I mean, this is how she lived her life. But in terms of just not wanting to leave any footprint whatsoever, you know, so she wouldn't fly, she wouldn't drive in a car, she cycled everywhere, and she grew her own vegetables, and she just lived an incredibly sort of low carbon footprint life, and where she was doing no harm. And everyone around her loved her for that, but her daughters were saying, we felt guilty that we drove to see her, because we had to drive in our cars to go see her, you know, but they were sort of, it was obviously going around in their minds that, well, they sometimes fly somewhere, they drive places, you know, they have an impact on the environment that they feel might be detrimental. So we have to sort of balance all of this out and not worry too much, and live one's life as well, as best you can, to your fullest expression, because we are source and consciousness experiencing itself. And we all do it in different ways. We're all like different facets of a diamond or different filters. You know, we all experience life in a slightly different way. And that is just beautiful experience for consciousness itself. So I hope that helps.
Thank you, Becky. That was beautiful. So I think we've all struggled with this. It's a really great question. So I personally have struggled with this from a diet perspective. I was a vegetarian for a long time, and then I tried to be a vegan, but that lasted like 3 days or so, because it's really, really hard. But personally, what I've come to believe is that, yes, everything has consciousness, so animals have consciousness, but plants have consciousness too. And so I think God, source, however you want to term God, has given us food to eat, and so whether that's your preferences, animals or plants. So I used to have lots of guilt when I would eat beef or chicken or whatever, or bacon, which I love because, you know, pigs are really cute. But now I have, you know, I kind of look at, okay, what's important to me? So I try not to get like farm factory animals. You know, I try to get fresh fruits and vegetables or grow my own as I can. And I always bless the food, and I always thank the plants, the animals, and the people who are involved in the food chain. And so that's kind of how I have wrestled with that topic, because it is a really great question.
Everyone thinks pigs are cute, but I love cows. I've always loved cows. Just saying.
I'd rather have a cat for a pet. When I was a teenager, I was majorly environmentally conscious, and it just got so restrictive. And I have to tell you, where I am now, we have this idea that that we're going to destroy the world. Like the idea that humans are destroying the earth. And it's like, the earth could repair itself in a heartbeat. As soon as we get those crappy guys out of the way, get the new technology in, everything can be repaired and restored in a heartbeat. And so for me, it's like, I only want what's in full alignment. I ask that what I do blesses all of creation and guide me, but I don't feel guilty. You know, I do the best I can, but I'm not going to feel guilty, because that is a really stupid emotion that really makes you kind of like tied up in a knot. I warn the ants, if you eat this stuff, it's going to kill you. The flies, if you're going to buzz around me, I'm going to kill you. But otherwise, you know, like I give them warning. But I don't kill the spiders. I let them stay in the corners. The cleaning lady doesn't leave them there, but that's not my problem. That's not my karma. You know, it's just.
Yeah, it's about being real, because we're 3D beings, well, in a physical body who have to deal with everyday life. And so while we have You're right about the guilt but it's part of one's spiritual journey in just waking up to the concept of, is this a good thing? Is this not a good thing? And it's a personal preference about how you feel. When we're talking about diets, I've gone through a whole range of diets. I find that I really can't eat gluten, it's just how it is. But one of my children has turned vegan about 6 months ago. They were the last person I'd expect to be vegan, but are managing really quite well. And a birthday's coming up soon, and I'm dreading making a birthday cake without eggs and butter. I'm just saying. Again, that's just life, isn't it? We all, in a way, muddle along as best we can, but I think that it's important to think about these things, because then you can start to make choices, to make preferences. Do I really want to do this? Do I really want to do that? How do I feel? How does that impact on me? Let's try going down this route and see how it works for me, or let's not. So, but I agree that guilt is one of the lower vibrations, and it's, at the end of the day, it's not very helpful, because it only really impacts on oneself, and it's one of the sort of downward spiral things, and it's part of the whole forgiveness. And as Chris said earlier, it's the hardest thing is to forgive yourself. But that is actually the most important thing to do, because at the end of the day, while your relationship with the outside world, with your family, friends, loved ones, neighbours, acquaintances, the people you meet, that's all important. It's your own internal life that is, in a way, is what's most important to you, because that's how you... I'm thinking about it, that's your interface. That's consciousness's interface with the physical world. And being in a physical body is an incredible blessing and challenge. It's one of the hardest, but it's the most rewarding, I would say.
So, put some water out for the bees, put some water out for the animals and the birds, like give when you can, be tender and giving when you can, and don't feel guilty no matter what. Next question.
In these beautiful Tennessee mountains, do we still have giants, fairies, and elementals?
Yes. So I arrived late Thursday night, and yesterday we went into a place where someone from our CC group last September saw a Sasquatch the next morning. And yeah, walking along the river. So I didn't see a real one, but we did have a lovely walk in the river. It only goes up to there really. And we went to a place, a Sasquatch hut, where they were selling Sasquatch stuff, and also, incidentally, a whole load of alien stuff as well. And I said, why are you selling alien stuff along with Sasquatch? And the guy said, well, I don't know, they kind of go together in my mind. And I thought, fair enough. But the hills, mountains of Tennessee are a really, really special place. I mean, I believe there are elementals all over the world. But the energy here is quite magnificent, special. It's really, really beautiful. And if you get a chance to tune into it, you know that there are beauty spots there. In terms of 3D physical world, it's apparently the most diverse place in the whole of America for birds, wildlife, plants. And yesterday, we saw or heard, so Chris, I love birds, and Sue and Chris downloaded apps on their phones, and they've got like bird song and identifying the birds, and this has just fascinated me the whole time. I absolutely love them. There's a whole range of birds, really, really exciting. Chris won't be very comfortable with this, but out of a tree trunk, a snake came, and I was like, is that a real snake? I thought it was like an ornament that someone had placed there, but it's like someone else was saying, yeah, it's moving. So I took a video of this thing. I was so excited. I got really close. I got really, really close, filming this snake. And I said, is it dangerous? And apparently it wasn't, but that was like the last thought. My mind is like, I'm getting close to some wildlife here. So I think where there is an abundance of wildlife and you can just feel the energy is just different and special and magical, the vibration is naturally higher, and there will be the connection to other energies, vibrations, maybe portals, maybe just the interface. It's thinner, the veil is thinner, and I think that's why Sasquatch literally come in and come out, and fairies and so on. We're going to be talking about fairies and pixies and other elementals. Chris and I are just writing that at the moment, and it's a really lovely topic. Thank you. Who should I hand it to?
I don't have much to add to that, excuse me, but living in Tennessee, I'm probably slightly biased. I think this is like the most beautiful place in the world and the most magical place. And I think I live close to the Smoky Mountains, and there's like a lot of magic there. But as Becky said, I think it's around the world too, and you know, it's how, I don't want to say it's vibration, I think it's your belief systems, and I'm sure we all still have a lot of programming within us. Like, I've never seen an elemental, I would love to see one, and so, you know, I'm putting that out there. But anyway, I was not happy to see the snake yesterday, so I jogged off around the corner and left Becky at the tree with the hopefully not poisonous snake.
I also saw fireflies, which I thought were fairies for a moment. Last night, I'd never seen them. Apparently they're called lightning bugs as well. But there was just a whole load, just in Chris's garden, a whole load of them in the evening as it's getting dark, and I was like absolutely thrilled. First time I've ever seen them. Don't think we have them in England. It's not just about believing in them, because I think so many people experience interactions with elementals. It's almost like you just enter a state without even realizing it, and then you are in that energy zone where you can have an experience with an elemental. Okay.
Well, I don't think I've ever seen an elemental, but I know they've communicated with me. I don't hear, I don't see. In Tasmania, when I would go off in the bush, like, man, I had mystical experiences that changed me. But a couple years ago, Chris and I were in Townsend, and it's like that's when some communication started happening. I almost moved to Waynesville in North Carolina, and I was told as I walked around the lake, the connection was made. And I know I'm supposed to be in that Smoky Mountain area, which is both sides. I feel like I live on the North Carolina side because there's something for us. Like I don't know who of you have done the stuff that I do, but man, they are taking me on this journey that the whole connection to the earth on a whole other level. The elementals want humanity to understand things in a whole other way, and it's coming out fast, and I'm like, okay. Next question.
Who are the Council of Nine, and what role do they play in the current evolution on Earth?
I have no idea.
I think Magenta Pixie will be the best person to ask. Like, talking about elementals, Magenta Pixie, I think, works with the Council of Nine. I've heard that they are a group of beings who are, one would say, high up spiritually, and interested in the evolution of the planet and humanity. But again, I haven't knowingly worked with them. We don't have to always work directly with people and beings like that. So yeah, again, I don't really know.
So I haven't worked with them either. However, I think they're in Arcturian Council, and yeah, Magenta Pixie is the person that I know who works with them. I'm sure there's many others too. I just wanted to add, I think there's a lot of collectives that are out there. I like to call them star families, not ETs, but there's many collectives that are out there that are working with us right now, and that's just one of many. I think there's Syrians, Andromedans, the Pleiadians. I think they're all trying to help us at this point in time. And as Sue's mentioned, and I'm sure everybody in here knows, it's like such an amazing time to be here on planet Earth. So I think we're getting a lot of help. So not just from that council, but from many others.
I think one of the beautiful things about the internet is that we do get to see, and people get the opportunity to share their skills, talents, knowledge about different star families, different races, and higher beings. And people as viewers, and I would count myself as one of those, from time to time, checking out what other people are talking about. It's a case of, do I resonate with this? Do I not resonate with this? Maybe I do now, but I might not in the future. Maybe I don't now, but I might in the future. It's about sort of just listening and hearing and feeling about, how do I feel about this? But for me, I know there's so many different beings. There are, whether you call them aliens, extraterrestrials, and elementals, and also angels, demons, and the whole gamut of different beings. But I'm fascinated with incarnated humans. I love human beings. And I really think that humanity has the possibility and the option to go further this time. We've done this before. People talk about in the past, and we've reached this sort of peak before. I really think that if we are not afraid, because it's quite easy just to sort of, I can go this far, but I don't want to go any further. I really think that if we just sort of say, we can do this, we've got the strength, we've grown up enough. It's not like we're toddlers anymore, spiritually. We're becoming more mature now. And, we can take back our sovereignty, and we do know that we are connected with Source, that we're all consciousness. We are aware that we can start creating, and that our thoughts and our minds and our hearts and our souls all interconnected, and we have the ability to be the change. And I come back to that because that's where we're at. We're not just at a point where we can just, you can if you like, just sit back and say, well, I'll leave it up to others, because people do that. I had a chat with someone just the other day in England, and she said, well, what can I do? I was talking about saying, I'm going to go to America, I'm only going for a couple of days, but I'm so excited. And she said, yeah, I'd like to go there, but I'm not sure about the politics. Let's stay out of the politics. And I said, well, you don't have to get involved in politics if you don't want to. And then she said, well, what can I do? I'm just one person, what can I do? And I said, well, you can do a lot, because if you don't have to go out and fight, you don't have to go out and protest. You can just learn to know yourself better, and I think it's about clarifying your thoughts and opinions on things. Sometimes it's really hard to have a thought and opinion. Now, how do I feel about this? What are my thoughts on that? How should I think about something? What's the right way to be? And, who's good, who's bad? I was saying this in the car this morning. When I was a kid, I used to always say to my parents and my brothers, so who are the goodies and who are the baddies when we're watching a film? Because I needed to know. I needed to know what side I was on, because I wanted to be on the side of the goodies. And it's funny that innate feeling was something that I was just, born with. And they used to just find it funny. They said, well, just watch, you'll work it out, you'll figure it out. And I was like, what if I don't know? But anyway, I think we asked the question about Council of Nine, and I've gone around to who are the goodies and who are the baddies. But that's because there is so much interest in what's going on in the world and humanity, and how we are, who we are, how we be, what we become, is of great interest to the Council of Nine and anyone else who is observing us.
And a slight change in the topic, because this stuff's coming out about the Council of Nine. I don't know if anybody else has noticed, but there's stuff coming out on all sides, and you just don't know what to believe anymore. Like some of it, you know, you watch the truther, but it's like stuff gets stranger and stranger. So to the point where I just give up and go, okay, you guys sort it out, let me know. Because I don't have to figure it all out, I don't have to judge. And yet my stepping back from this source or that source, I listen to that, I listen to my aversion and go, okay, I think I'm done with that one, or I'm done with that one, or oh, this one, oh yeah, what did she say, what did it, you know, so trust yourself. We're in a big time of discernment. That's part of how you be the change.
Thank you. What do you think is on our timeline for this next year?
I've got the microphone, so I'm going to start. We're in the midst of an amazing, like we are making this quantum leap. They told me 30 years ago I was here for the quantum leap, and I'm like, what's that going to be, and what do I do? But we're in it now. Like, you can feel the shift in energy. Man, the Schumann resonance has been off the charts. You can feel the tinnitus, the fatigue, all the physical responses to what's going on. And all of the chaos, everywhere you look in the world, there's so many different things happening. And learning how to surf through the changes, how to surf through the information, how to allow grace to guide you and lead you, because we're not in Kansas anymore. The old stuff, the old ways of being with the world are not going to take us into where we're going, because we are being given opportunity for so much more than we've ever had. And so what's the timeline going to be like for the rest of the year? It continued rocky, but depends on what you focus on. When you're surfing, it's like, man, you want the waves. You just got to know how to navigate them. So learning how to be fearless in the unknown, like not needing to know. What do we love? We want to know. I want to know. And it's like, what if you can't know? What if your safety and your protection and your path, what is that? What if it's not knowing? And yet trusting yourself and trusting your guidance and going with it.
I love that, totally agree. And it's coming back to be the change, because, as Sue said, we know that there's going to be different things coming up in America. You've got the midterm elections. You've got the 250th anniversary of independence, and that's hugely important. It seems to be hugely important to the White House, and I don't really know what's going to come next on the timeline, but I do know that. Yes, don't follow every single minute detail. If you're interested in something, follow it. But it is about, as Sue said, being the anchor, being the rock, sort of saying, well, I know things are going on in the world, but I don't need to let it affect me emotionally. I know I can, you just focus on it. I know I can walk through this. I know I can find my way through this. I can talk about it with others, but I can find a way of surviving and coping with any changes that come, or supporting others, because you might have some sound spiritual advice on how to be calm during any things that come up.
So I would answer that question by saying, what do you want your timeline to look like? Because we do all create our own reality. And well, sometimes it doesn't happen as quickly as what we want. I think Becky and Sue both talked about this a little bit. If you're like going down a path, like for me, there's times where I get really interested in what's going on, and then it's like, well, this side's saying this, and this side's saying this, and trying to piece it together, and then when I get like, you know, like, I don't know what's happening, I know it's time to step back and to focus on the things that I love, you know, to go out in my gardens and to create the kind of world that I want, and it really does work. So that would be my answer. Ask yourself what you want it to be and put out your intentions and create it.
Love that. Live your own life through it all.
Is it possible for someone to enter a portal and not know they entered it?
She read us that question before, and we're all going, But I say yes. And I have had confirmation within the last year that 30 years ago, there was a portal where I was initiated into grace. And I knew that changed my life. It was a life-changing event, but I had no idea what that is. I've also was told when I was writing my book that there are grace portals in the book. There are little moments, and people write me and say that, you know, it's like, so yes, those are not necessarily the kind of portals you were thinking about, but we're in that period where we got to look at what's that idea we have, and is it so? Like we have these ideas of things, and it's like, well, what if it's bigger than that? What if it's more? What if you're like this amazing multi-dimensional being that has come down from, what have we got up to the 11th dimension? Like there have been studies in Australia, Blue Brain Project, where they discovered in your brain structures that are capable of communicating to the 11th and 12th dimensions and up till, and they're active. Okay, so have you been recognizing your little 11th dimensional communication? Like we have so much room to expand, and so then we'll know about the portal question.
I love that. Well, we have portals in us as well with our chakras and our energy centers, and our heart is a big portal and you can go inside your heart, as it were, and sort of see the whole universe there. So, but in terms of, and I mentioned this before when we were talking about the elementals, and Sue just said it, as multidimensional beings, we, without controlling it, our frequencies go up and down like this. And you could just be in a zone when you're going for a walk or whatever, when you are literally aligned with frequencies at a different energy level, that you enter a space for a while, which seems the same. It might just be a bit brighter, or you may see an elemental or something you think, gosh, I didn't know that was there. Maybe it's suddenly full of beautiful butterflies or something that's a bit different from where you were 5 minutes ago. And I think that's perhaps similar to being a portal. You can just come into it and then go out of it. And it's just to do with the energy of yourself in that moment.
Okay, I don't have much to say about portals, even though we wrote a really long monthly spiritual topic on the subject. And sometimes we do a lot of research because none of us are experts on everything. So if you're interested, you can check that out. We also did a podcast with Simon where he answered a whole lot of member questions on portals. So if you're interested, go check that out.
That was wonderful. Thank you. How can I balance being the change with daily life, with jobs, bills, family, etc., without burning out?
So I'll start just very briefly. I think that's a really great question, and there's no easy answer. I'll just give two quick things. I think prioritize, knowing what's most important to you and prioritizing, because otherwise, I know for me in life, it's easy to just start, oh, I need to do this, I need to do that, and then all your big important things are left. So and knowing what you want and acting on those. And then I think also it's understanding that being the change isn't just about doing, and I think we started with this, it is also about just being, right? All of our presence, all of our energy, all of our light are more significant than I think what we possibly know, and sometimes knowing that can, like sometimes I remind myself of that, and then it helps me to chill out, like, well, I don't need to do those 5 extra things today.
I love that question because it's so practical. So many of us think we have a list of chores or duties to do, and we think, oh, I need to do this and I need to do that. And you can do all of those things and find joy in it. For example, I like doing the washing up and cleaning the kitchen floor while I'm listening to music. You can do things that make it a bit... Now, the reason I'm saying that is because it's about energy and vibration, because if you do things and you're not happy doing it, then it will bring you down, and that will impact on the energy around you and just your attitude towards the people in your house and you know, further afield. Do things, find things in your life that bring you joy, and do things that you love, because life is meant to be enjoyed. It's meant to be, there's so much here that to be experienced, to enjoy, to see the beauty in things. And I think it's important to bring in the positive, and that's part of being the change, because you know, you can do the same thing but be really annoyed and grumpy about it, or you can do something and think, I'm enjoying doing this because it's going to improve a situation. And having the different attitudes, if you take the one of more positive, then you'll feel just generally happier. But yeah, I mean, because that's, you have to do, you know, if you're going to work, you have to do work, but it could be fun. You know, you could look for the little things in life that you find fun. So I do that from a practical point of view.
Grace. Grace is available always to everyone. It doesn't sound practical, it's the most practical thing I know. Grace, unconditional divine love, tenderness, protection, support. It is available in every single moment to everyone. And for some reason, we're not that open to letting it in. You want to balance your life between the practical and the other. Learn how to navigate life in the field of grace. So ask, I only want what's in my highest and best. That's your declaration. That's saying, I am willing to receive grace fully. I'm willing to receive all the help that is being given me in this moment to help me find my way, to navigate, to make decisions. I ask for maximal assistance and support for my wholeness, for my health and vitality, for my divine expression. I ask for maximal guidance and clarity as I make the decisions in my life. People never, I laugh all the time because people are like, oh, I've got this problem or that problem. Well, have you asked for assistance in this? Because it is there for you. We came with guides and helpers, plus we have our divine self once you get fully connected to that, and it's like, that's all they want is to assist us, but we have to let them in. They're not allowed to interfere unless we ask for the help, unless we invite them in. And I'm going to tell you, there's almost nothing I've ever come across in the last probably 10 years that if I don't go, hey, hey, I got this problem, can you sort that out? I start seeing, oh, of course, oh, look at that. It's like no biggie. But I had to open that door. That's how you balance it, by being open to grace and to really allowing what's in your highest and best to unfold rather than what you think is in your highest and best, or the way you want it.
I love that, Sue, thank you. But also to add that if there's things in your life that you really don't, that you're really struggling with, and you think, I don't want to, if you don't like your job, or if you really don't like where you live and you have the opportunity to do something new, then do it. Take the different path. Try something new, because life's meant to be, enjoyed and experienced.
And once you start facing the right direction, what's in your highest and best, you will get so much help. You're going to be like, oh, because they're going to be pushing you along because you're facing the right direction. They can help you then when you're not. I hate my job or whatever, but they can't help you because you're not. Anyway, you got it.
Well, you sort of already answered this question, but I want to ask it anyway. How can I identify my unique strengths and the role I can play?
That's a beautiful question to wrap up with, and you're right, we have talked about that. Recognise yourself, get to know yourself, and get to ask yourself, who am I? What do I want to do? Don't think, oh, what do I want to do? Think, what do I want to do? If you've got... The questioner has actually really answered the question, because they recognise that you do what is uniquely you, because that's your gift to the world. You don't have to try and be someone else. If you don't like playing the piano, don't play the piano. If you don't like math, don't do math, because someone else loves it and they can do it. You've got your own thing, and if you don't know what it is, then try all different things, until you find something that you really love. Okay.
So I'll say it again, look within. So there is no one answer to that applies to everyone. And just a real quick story, someone who's very near and dear to me, she's always telling me, I'm going to this spiritual seminar, now I'm going to this, and now I've learned how to meditate. This person says I have to do this way, and I can't do it this way. And I'm like, well, then why are you? We're all different. Some people meditate, some people go sit under a tree, some people pray. There's a lot of different ways to get in that space, and there's a lot of different tools to get to know yourself. So I would say have patience with yourself. We all have gifts, and they're all different, and that's a very, very beautiful thing. So it's fine to go to a seminar and to go read a book and everything, but it's more important to know what works for you and what resonates with you and what doesn't. So thank you.
And what was it when you were growing up, or at any point in your life, when it was buzzing around your head, trying to get your attention, and you're like, oh, I can't do that. Oh, no, I'm not good enough. Oh, no, I can't. Look for those things. Those are clues. Also, look at your experiences in life. I had no idea, yet when I look back, I had been being trained for what I was here for my entire life, every weird little whatever. So start looking at the experiences you have, and it's like, oh, I'm wondering how that would contribute to what I'm called to bring forth in the world. Also, it's like, we want a definition. Didn't you love the people that are like, I want to be a doctor or a fireman, and they never change their mind? Well, for most of us, it isn't like that. We're meandering through the forest, the path isn't really there, and yet every single point we're being led. And if we start going down the wrong path, we get one of those weird, awful experiences. I call them 2x4s, where you're put back on the path, but you're being guided. They're not. You chose, okay, when I come in here, I want to do this, And these people are going to, these guides and helpers are going to help you. They're not going to let you get way off track, but it's not always going to be fun if you're, like if your ego goes, no, I want to go this way, and they're like, but you wanted to go this way. So just watch for those subtle nudges that you've experienced your entire life, helping you to move in the right direction.
Thank you, that's beautiful. I think that was our last question. So we'll wrap up our Sacred Wisdom podcast here in Tennessee, and thank you all, and see you again soon.
コネクティングコンシャスネス。この動画はコネクティングコンシャスネスのご案内と入会手続きの説明です。コネクティングコンシャスネス、頭文字を取って CC とも呼ばれています。コネクティングコンシャスネスは魂レベルの意識でつながる非営利のボランティア組織です。コネクティングコンシャスネスは全地球が活動地域です。メンバーは全世界で現在約11万人となっております。日本のコネクティングコンシャスネスは JPCC、頭文字を取って JPCC と呼ばれています。現在メンバーは約1200名となっております。CC は参加費用なし、政治・宗教的背景のない独立組織です。CC は人類への貢献が最大目標としています。CC の創設者はサイモン・パークスさん、元イギリスの政治家です。ご家族にイギリスの情報機関勤務経験の方がいらっしゃるという背景があります。いわゆるアブダクションの経験もあります。守秘義務の伴うインテルにアクセスすることができます。世界情勢、歴史、宇宙、スピリチュアル、新技術、あらゆるジャンルに精通されています。現在は CC を通じて新しい地球社会を見据えた活動をされていらっしゃいます。サイモンさんの奥様のベッキー・パークスさんはサイモンさんと共に CC を運営しております。CC のスピリチュアルリーダーでもあります。ベッキーさんの YouTube チャンネル、聖なる叡智でスピリチュアルトピックを配信されていらっしゃいます。さて、あなたが CC でできること、どんなことがあるかご紹介します。まず、すでに目覚めた同じ意識や目的を持った仲間とつながることができます。CC の人道支援プロジェクトに応募することができます。審査に通ると資金を得てあなたのプロジェクトを実現することが可能です。CC のスピリチュアルトレーニングで体系的にスピリチュアルを身につけることができます。サイモンさんのアップデート動画を視聴することができます。現在、サイモンさんのアップデート動画は CC の専用プラットフォームマイティネットワークス内のみで視聴することができます。それではコネクティングコンシャスネスの入会手続きをご案内させていただきます。ポイントです。一般的な入会申し込みに加えて、マイティネットワークスのサインアップがあります。この2つの手続きで進めていただきます。CC に入会すると、メールによる 各種イベントのご案内を差し上げることができます。CC にはメンバー専用の SNS プラットフォームマイティネットワークスがあります。例えるなら CC メンバー専用の Facebook のようなものとお考えいただくと分かりやすいと思います。このマイティネットワークスを使って国内、国外の多くのメンバーとつながることができます。スピリチュアルトレーニングやサイモンさんのアップデート動画を見ることもできます。大切なことなのでもう一度申し上げます。一般的な入会申し込みに加えてマイティネットワークスのお手続きもお願いします。動画の説明文にこのリンクが貼り付けてあります。このリンクを開いていただきますと CC の入会手続きを始めることができます。このリンクを開くとこのようなページが開きます。CC について簡単なご説明に合わせて登録フォームへのリンクが2つあります。こことこの2箇所のリンクをクリックしていただきますと登録フォームが開きます。3つチェックボックスを入れていただくようになっています。1つ目は行動規範。内容をご覧いただき問題なければチェックを入れてください。プライバシーポリシーも内容を確認してチェックを入れてください。マイティネットワークスをご利用になるためにもこちらにチェックを入れてください。次のページに行きます。CC に来られたきっかけは何ですか？会員になりたい理由は何ですか？といった簡単な質問が続きます。質問には日本語で回答していただけます。では次のページです。お名前、ご住所、ご連絡先などをご記入いただきます。お名前はお名前、名字の順で記入していただきます。お名前はできればローマ字でお書きください。それ以外住所等は日本語で書いていただいて結構です。では次のページです。入力した内容が表示されます。問題がなければこの CC のロゴマークの真ん中のハートマーククリックしていただきますと送信が完了します。続いてマイティネットワークスへのサインアップのご説明をさせていただきます。サインアップには2段階のプロセスがあります。入会手続きが完了しますと CC のコーディネーターからウェブサイトへのリンクが届きます。ご挨拶状に合わせてウェブサイトへのリンクが届きます。このメールが届いてもまだサインアップはしないでください。このメールが届いてもマイティネットワークスへのサインアップはしないでください。入会手続き完了後4日以内にサイモンさんとベッキーさんからの招待メールが届きます。この招待メールの手順に従ってサインアップを進めていただきます。はい、こんな感じでメールが届きますので、サイモンさんとベッキーさんの写真の下に Join Me という紫のボタンがあります。こちらを押していただきます。はい、そうするとこれパソコンの画面ですけれども、スマホのデザイン多少違うと思います。ご了承ください。この紫の Join と書いたボタンを押していただきます。そうしますとこちらにお名前を記入していただくようになっています。入会手続きの際に記入していただいたファーストネーム、ラストネーム、名前、名字の順番で記入していただきます。この下にある Google や Facebook といったボタンは一切触れないでください。お名前を書いていただきましたら、右上の紫の Next というボタンを押していただきます。CC に入会手続きした時のあなたの E メールアドレスをこちらに入力していただきます。続いて、お好きなパスワードをここに入力していただきます。下にあります確認事項は内容に問題がなければこのチェックボックスにチェックを入れて右上の紫のクリエイトアカウントというボタンを押してください。マイティネットワークスへのサインアップが完了しました。パソコンですとブラウザーでそのままサインインしてご覧いただくことができます。スマートフォンについてはこのボタンを押していただきますと自動的にマイティネットワークのアプリがダウンロードされてそちらでご覧いただけるようになります。以上、コネクティングコンシャスネスのご案内と入会手続きの説明をご覧いただきました。 何かご不明なことがありましたら、お気軽に説明文のリンクからメールでお問い合わせください。最後までご覧いただきましてありがとうございました。